조밍아!
Today, we're going to talk about one of history's all-time greatest survivors. And no, it's not some huge predator or a super smart mammal. It's the humble, patient, and, well, pretty incredible turtle. To really get your head around the turtle's story, you have to think on a scale that's just massive. I mean, way before the mountains we know even existed, when the supercontinent Pangaea was just starting to crack apart, the very first turtles were already here. They have literally watched the world we know take shape beneath their feet. And get this, because this part is just staggering. When that massive asteroid slammed into the Earth 66 million years ago and wiped out about 3/4 of all life on the planet, including all the big dinosaurs, the turtles, they just kept going. They somehow made it through the fire, the darkness, all of it. Which, of course, brings us to the big question. What is their secret? I mean, how did this seemingly simple creature manage to outlast giant predators, ice ages, and actual planetary disasters? Well, let's dive in and figure it out. To really appreciate their success, we have to start with just how long they've been around. They are, without a doubt, the ultimate ancient witnesses to the story of life on this planet. Just look at this number. 220 million years. That's how far back the turtle family tree goes. To put that in perspective, that's millions and millions of years before the first modern humans ever walked the Earth. It's just an incredible amount of time. And this timeline really puts it all into frame, right? They show up in the Triassic, they watch the dinosaurs rise and completely dominate through the Jurassic and Cretaceous. They live right through that mass extinction event, and then they witness the entire age of mammals begin and unfold. They have, quite simply, seen it all. Okay, so what was the game changer? What was the one big idea that let them do all this? Well, it all comes down to one brilliant, unbreakable blueprint: their shell. Think about it. In a world full of enormous, terrifying predators, the turtle's evolutionary strategy wasn't about being bigger or faster or meaner. Nope, it was about becoming untouchable. They basically invented the ultimate personal defense system. You know, the shell isn't just something a turtle wears, it is the turtle. That top dome, the carapace, and the bottom plate, the plastron, they're actually fused right into their skeleton. It's their rib cage and their spine, all expanded into a suit of armor. It's a house and a skeleton all rolled into one. And you can really see that fortress getting perfected over time here. Early ancestors, like this one, Odontoceles, only had a shell on its belly, which probably protected it from predators attacking from underneath in the water. But now, look at a modern box turtle. It's got a complete, hardened dome, a sharp beak instead of teeth, and it can pull everything inside and seal the door. A perfected fortress. So, with this incredible defense basically perfected, turtles were free to go, well, pretty much everywhere. They diversified and adapted and started to conquer just about every environment on the planet. The genius of the shell design is that it gave them the security to specialize. And they really did. From scorching hot deserts and the deep open ocean to steamy rainforests and quiet little ponds, you can bet there's a turtle species that is perfectly adapted to call it home. For instance, take the gopher tortoise. This guy isn't just a survivor. He's what you'd call an ecosystem engineer. He digs these super deep burrows to escape the heat and predators, And those burrows end up providing a home for over 350 other animals. Everything from snakes to owls to frogs. And on the complete other end of the spectrum, you've got the leatherback sea turtle. This is a true world traveler. Instead of a heavy bone shell, it's got this tough leathery skin, which makes it way more streamlined for deep dives and these epic journeys that can stretch across the entire Pacific Ocean. So, this brings us to another huge piece of their survival puzzle. It's not just that their bodies are built to last, it's their entire approach to life. For turtles, it's always a marathon, never a sprint.
You know, we've all heard the story of the tortoise and the hare, right? Well, it turns out there's some deep evolutionary truth in that little fable. A slow metabolism, a really long lifespan, and a patient approach to everything means they can just wait out tough times, like a drought or a food shortage that would totally wipe out other animals.
The sea turtle nesting ritual is just a perfect example of this incredible perseverance. I mean, this whole process is unbelievably difficult and dangerous for the mother turtle. But it's a numbers game, a strategy of patience. She lays dozens and dozens of eggs, knowing that if even just a few of them make it, the ancient family line will continue. But here's the turn. After 220 million years of unbelievable success, the turtle's epic story has hit a really critical and very uncertain new chapter. All of those ancient survival strategies, they're being tested like never before. Yeah, this is pretty sobering to look at. When you start adding up the numbers, the critically endangered, the endangered, and the vulnerable species, you realize that a majority of all turtle species on Earth are now threatened with extinction. That long, unbroken chain of survival is in real danger of snapping. And that's really the tragic irony in all of this, isn't it? The very shell that protected them from dinosaurs offers zero protection against plastic in the ocean or their habitats disappearing or a rapidly changing climate. Their greatest strength has finally met a challenge it was never designed to face.
The turtle has seen worlds begin and end. They've watched mountains rise and fall. They are the ultimate survivor. But now, for the first time, their fate is completely tied up with ours. And whether their incredible 220 million year journey gets to continue, well, that might just be up to us.
Hello and welcome. You know, there are some animals that are just living time capsules. I mean, creatures that were here to see the dinosaurs rise and fall, that watched continents drift apart, and were around long, long before the first humans ever walked the earth. Today, we are diving deep into the incredible story of one of those animals, the turtle.
So how in the world did they pull it off? Well, here's our plan. First, we're going to journey back through deep time to really get a grip on their ancient origins. Then, we'll uncover the biological secrets, their survivor's blueprint that let them endure for so long. After that, we'll meet the whole global family of turtles, face the modern dangers that threaten them, and finally, we'll see why their story is so connected to our own.
All right, let's start with what is maybe the most mind-bending part of this whole story: time. I mean, to really get the turtle, you have to stretch your imagination across a timescale that makes all of human history look like, well, the blink of an eye. To really put this into perspective, just think about this question for a second. What animal that's alive today was there to see the rise of the dinosaurs, their entire 150 million year reign, and their catastrophic end? The answer isn't some fossil dug out of the ground. It's the turtle. This timeline really just lays it all out. Look here. The very first proto-turtles pop up about 220 million years ago. They literally shared the planet with dinosaurs for an incredible 150 million years. Now, follow this line all the way to the very, very end. You see that tiny little sliver? That's us, modern humans. We've been around for maybe 200,000 years. Turtles have been perfecting the art of survival for 1,000 times longer than our entire species has even been a thing. So, that covers the when. But the much bigger question is how. I mean, how did they manage to survive the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs and all the ice ages that came after? Well, the answer is built right into their biology. It's a masterclass in defensive design. And it all starts with their most iconic feature, right? The shell. But here's the thing, it's not just some kind of outer covering. It's actually part of their skeleton. Their ribs, their vertebrae, their breastbone, it's all fused together into this incredible structure. You've got the carapace on top and the plastron on the bottom. This really just captures it perfectly. The shell isn't just armor, it's a mobile fortress. Think about it. For millions of years, when some scary predators showed up, the turtle didn't have to run and find a cave to hide in. It was the cave. This one adaptation is just an absolute evolutionary game changer. But, okay, this brilliant defense creates a huge biological puzzle. If your rib cage is one solid, unmoving box, how on earth do you breathe? You can't expand your chest like we do. It seems impossible, doesn't it? Well, evolution is pretty clever. The solution is just ingenious. Turtles actually developed special muscles inside their shell that pull and push their lungs, kind of like an internal bellows system. But their real superpower is efficiency. Being ectothermic, what we usually call cold-blooded, means their metabolism is incredibly slow. They just don't waste energy trying to stay warm. And this amazing energy-saving plan is the secret to their famous longevity, letting some of them live for well over 150 years. So this winning blueprint, ultimate defense combined with incredible efficiency, was so successful it basically became a passport to the entire planet. Seriously, from coral reefs to the Sahara Desert, some kind of turtle made it a home. Now, let's clear up something that gets a lot of people mixed up. While all tortoises are technically turtles, not all turtles are tortoises. The word turtle usually means a species that live in or around water. You can see they often have flatter, more streamlined shells and webbed feet or flippers for swimming. Tortoises, on the other hand, are strictly land dwellers. They're built for it, with those heavy dome-shaped shells for protection and thick, sturdy legs for walking around. And you can see from this chart just how incredibly widespread they are. The whole family, we call them chelonians, is split almost right down the middle between land and freshwater. And then there's a smaller but just as successful group that took to the seas and mastered the world's oceans. Okay, so they survived the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. They outlasted multiple ice ages. But now, after 220 million years, this ancient lineage is facing a threat that it might not be able to handle: us. So let's turn to the challenges these amazing creatures are facing in the modern world. And the most crucial point is right here. More than half, over 50% of all the world's turtle and tortoise species are now threatened with extinction. Just let that sink in for a moment. An animal that has been a symbol of resilience for millions of years is now officially in crisis. And the attack is coming from all sides. We see habitat loss just bulldozing their nesting grounds. Plastic pollution is choking them in the oceans. A warming planet is actually messing with the sex of their babies, because the temperature of the sand determines if they're born male or female. And on top of all that, poaching and the illegal pet trade are just relentlessly pushing them closer and closer to the brink. This isn't just a sad story about turtles. Their fate is directly connected to the health of the very ecosystems that we all depend on. So for our final section, let's look at why this ancient survivor matters so much, right here, right now. They're what scientists call ecosystem engineers. What does that mean? Well, sea turtles are like underwater gardeners. They graze on seagrass and keep those beds healthy, which are critical nurseries for countless fish. Freshwater turtles, they're the cleanup crew for our rivers. And on land, tortoises are master gardeners, spreading seeds in their droppings that help regenerate entire landscapes. They don't just live in an environment, they actively make it better. But beyond all the ecological stuff, there's something deeper, right? And I think this quote just says it all. When you look at a turtle, you're not just seeing an animal. You're looking at a direct link to a prehistoric world we can only dream about. They are living history. To lose them is to tear a chapter out of our planet's story that we can never, ever get back. Which leaves us with this one final urgent question. For 220 million years, the turtle has adapted, it has endured, and it has survived absolutely everything this planet has thrown at it. Will their final chapter, their epilogue after this epic story of survival, be written by us? The answer to that is still being decided. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a creature that's, well, it's so much more than just an animal. It's like a living fossil, a time traveler that connects us to a version of Earth we can barely even picture. This is the story of the turtle. And trust me, it is an absolutely epic story of survival. To really get a sense of the scale we're dealing with here, let me just start with a question for you. Think about it for a second. What creature on this planet has been around long enough to see the dinosaurs rise and fall, survive the cataclysm that took them out, and then watch as the very first humans began to walk the earth? The answer is it's staggering. We're talking about an unbroken family line that stretches back 220 million years. To put that into perspective, that's older than the continents as we know them today. For the turtle, that's just its history. And yep, you guessed it, that animal is the turtle. It is a living, breathing testament to resilience. It's a masterclass in how to adapt and survive against truly impossible odds. So to really understand this ultimate survivor, we have to take a walk back through time, a long walk. Let's dig into how the turtle managed to conquer the ages. I mean, this timeline really tells an incredible story. It all starts 220 million years ago with the very first proto-turtles. Fast forward to 150 million years ago, and they've perfected their ultimate defensive weapon, that fully formed shell. Then came the big one, right? The ultimate test. 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid hits, wipes out the dinosaurs, but the turtle, it made it. And today, that legacy of survival has carried them to every single continent on the planet except for Antarctica. So that incredible history brings us right up to the present day. Let's shift gears from their ancient past and take a look at how these modern marvels actually live, because their biology is every bit as fascinating as their history. First things first, let's clear something up that gets a lot of people confused. Not all of these shelled reptiles are the same thing. You see, turtle can be kind of a general term, but true turtles are mostly aquatic. Tortoises, on the other hand, live only on land. And then you've got terrapins, which kind of split the difference. They love that brackish, swampy water. It really all comes down to where they live. And this is just a perfect example of evolution in action, right? It shows you exactly how their environment shaped their bodies. The tortoise, the land dweller, has this high dome-shaped shell for major protection, and these sturdy, almost elephant-like legs to haul it around. But the turtle, the water dweller, is built for a totally different life. It's got a flatter, more streamlined shell to cut through the water, and webbed feet or flippers to propel itself. Okay, now here's a fact that just blows most people's minds. It completely changes how you look at them. We've all seen those cartoons, right, where a turtle gets scared and just pops out of its shell. Well, that's completely impossible. The shell isn't some house they carry around. It is literally a part of them. And let's look at exactly why that is. Their shell is, in a very real sense, an extension of their skeleton. Their ribs, their backbone, they're fused directly to the inside of that shell. Trying to take a turtle out of its shell would be like trying to take you out of your own rib cage. It's a true fortress of bone, completely integrated into their body. And this deep biological connection drives one of the most incredible journeys in all of nature, the nesting ritual. Just picture this for a second. A female sea turtle, guided by some ancient, unbelievable instinct, navigates thousands of miles of open ocean to find the exact same beach where she herself hatched, maybe decades earlier. Then, under the cover of darkness, she painstakingly carves out a nest, lays the next generation, and then just disappears back into the waves, her ancient duty completely fulfilled.
But here's the thing. After surviving asteroids, ice ages, you name it, this incredible legacy is now hanging in a really precarious balance. The ultimate survivor is now facing its most complex and difficult challenge ever, us. And the threats they're facing today are so multifaceted. You've got habitat loss from coastal development, which is just wiping out their nesting sites. There's plastic pollution in the oceans, which is a deadly trap. They mistake plastic bags for jellyfish, one of their food sources. Climate change is warming the sand, which affects the sex of the babies, and rising seas are washing their beaches away. And on top of all that, the illegal pet trade continues to just decimate wild populations.
So this is where we end up. They have this absolutely unparalleled legacy, 220 million years of resilience and survival. The final question really isn't about their ability to endure anymore, is it? It's about our actions. So what is our chapter in their ancient story going to look like? What will our legacy be for them?